When I was 22 years old, I bought my first home. There was a lot of pride in this moment for me. Until then, I repeatedly heard that homeownership was one of the smartest financial moves that you could make. The house was in a young neighborhood and walkable to parks, restaurants, a growing downtown area, making me feel like I was in college all over again. My new home was exactly what I needed, except I couldn't afford it. I quickly learned I set up a situation that made me despise homeownership instead of loving it. And it wasn't just this one first-time homebuyer mistake. There were a lot. In this video, I'm going to share 5 first-time homebuyer mistakes that I made, and hopefully you can learn from my blunders. Number 1, not understanding other homeownership costs. I was able to put 10% down on my first home purchase, which made me beam with pride. Saving up $20,000 on my $200,000 home felt like a huge accomplishment for me at my age. Unfortunately, that was nearly all of my savings. I didn't realize the extent of the other homeownership costs, including, but not limited to, repairs, home maintenance, furniture, utility bills like heating, electric, and water, lawn equipment, dozens of other little things that I'm not even mentioning. Quickly, I became house poor. A sizable amount of my income was either going to my mortgage or these other unexpected homeownership costs. Additionally, a lot of my time was being spent dealing with homeownership issues. A leaky sink, a broken lawnmower, a failing HVAC system were just a few of the worries I dealt with in the first year of homeownership. Most of these problems were due to inexperience or human error, and I'll admit that, but nonetheless, I felt like the house owned me instead of the other way around. Number 2, not factoring in private mortgage insurance. Unfortunately, my 10% down payment was not enough to avoid private mortgage insurance, or PMI. This is a 1% fee that I had to pay to my lender for putting less than 20% down on my home purchase. That 1% was just another unexpected drag on my income that I wasn't expecting. My PMI cost $150 per month, or $1,800 per year, and I would have much rather had used that for some fun with my friends. Number 3, not putting enough money down. My first job out of college required a lot of travel, at times for 10 days straight. My weekends would be sometimes on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so I wouldn't be able to spend time with my friends, and after that I'd be off traveling again. After a year of this, I became burned out on this job. I wanted another job that allowed me to work during the week and then enjoy my weekends like everybody else. Unfortunately, that would mean a $10,000 pay cut. Evidently, you get paid a premium for working the weekends. After thinking about it for a bit, I decided to go for it anyway. I didn't analyze how this financial decision, would affect my money situation. This was when I felt the pinch of only making a 10% down payment. Monthly mortgage payments on top of my PMI made my situation go from bad to worse. Homeownership expenses took up more than half of my income at this time. I felt the crunch and quickly regretted my decision. This is when I started to take on debt through a home equity line of credit and eventually used my student loans to fund my lifestyle as well. Ugh. Well, if you're enjoying listening to these miserable mistakes I made in my 20s, please do me a solid and give me the YouTube triple thanks. That's hitting the like button, subscribe to the channel, and then commenting something down below. Maybe you can share in my misery and share a financial blunder that you've made in the past. Maybe give me some company. Thanks for considering it. Okay, moving on to number 4 on my list. Not preparing for a financial emergency. Eventually, I figured out that I needed to get some roommates. They would pay monthly rent and have a nice place to live, and I wouldn't feel so much financial pressure each month in this house. That worked out great, actually, which was a smart decision on my part. In this process, I even made some lifelong friends that I still hang out with today. And then the Great Recession made its way to my neighborhood around 2008. All of a sudden, my home value plummeted. I owed $180,000 on this home, and it was now worth $100,000. Because I had no equity now in my home, my bank said I could no longer use that home equity line of credit. No equity, no home equity line of credit. Around the same time, my employer had to cut our pay for a period of time because our business wasn't doing so hot during this recession. I was not financially prepared for this moment. My savings account did not have enough to cover 1 month of expenses. Having an emergency fund would have helped a lot at this time. Most financial professionals recommend having a cash cushion of 3 to 6 months to help you through hard times like these. Number 5, not understanding how refinancing works. The next couple of years were tight financially. I took on more debt as I continued to spend more than I made each month. My saving grace was when I got a big promotion at work. With that promotion, my salary doubled. With this new financial fortune, I was determined to eliminate my debt and start living within my means. And I did, with some help from my new wife. We combined our income and started to make some excellent progress to improve our collective net worth. With home values rising, I thought it would be a good idea to get rid of my adjustable rate mortgage at 5.25% and lock in a 30-year fixed rate at 5%. This would have worked out, but 2 years later, my wife and I decided to move to a new neighborhood when she got pregnant with our second child. When we refinanced our mortgage, we paid $2,500 in closing costs to the lender. And we did not save anywhere close to that amount with our refinancing. In fact, since my original mortgage was an ARM, the rate actually adjusted down over the next 3 years. So not only did we lose out on that $2,500 in closing costs, but we paid $11,000 more in interest on our loan before we sold the home. This was a $13,500 mistake. In the end, as I look back on all these stressful blunders I made, I'm not depressed by them. Actually, I'm thankful for them. Having lived through this financially difficult decade of homeownership, I vowed to never do it again. Recently, my wife and I paid off our mortgage on our forever home. We now live debt-free, mortgage-free, and we even crossed the millionaire mark in our 30s. These mistakes ended up being some of the best lessons that I could have ever had. If you're interested in learning how my wife and I went from a negative $50,000 net worth to over $1 million, check out this next video right here. Carpe diem.